All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome to Don's Modeling Bench Desk and part two of my Defiant build. Um, First thing tonight, we're going to be working on the base. I have an awesome base from Cosmic Scale Models. Thanks to Ken. Get out of here, fly. Thanks to Ken who sent it to me. Thanks again, Ken. But I have already glued the base itself together because, epoxy takes a while to dry. So I went ahead and got the base glued together. It's just you have a plate for the bottom, you have little plates for the side, and you have several optional plates that you can go with. Um, you have the plain sides. You have an end plate with two switch mounts. You have the plain end plates. You have the end plate with just the power input, and you have a side plate with two switch openings, which I was going to use this first, and then I decided against it. Um, what I ended up going with is, you can see here, the power input and one switch on the side, and then there is a switch, and I'm going to put a button there, not a power input, to fire the phasers or the pulse cannons. But if you're wondering why it's all taped up, it's because in the instructions it recommends lining the inside of this with aluminum tape. Well, I don't have any aluminum tape. So what I'm going to do is just layer on some good silver paint on the bottom of this, and we'll see how that works. It should work as good as aluminum tape, I hope, because I don't have any aluminum tape. But let me get the airbrush set up, and then I'll be right back, and we'll get some silver paint sprayed on here. All right, be right back. All right, guys, I'm back, and after thinking about it for a minute, I decided it would probably be best just to lay down a real quick coat of primer, because I'm not sure how well the silver would stick to this slick acrylic. So let me just lay down a really quick layer of primer on here. Not a thick layer, just enough to give the silver something to stick to. Let me get a little more paint in my airbrush. I'm gonna hit it with a good wet coat, and that should do it. We just want to give the silver something to stick to. And there I go, slushing paint. I love this airbrush, but I hate the fact that it doesn't have a cap on the paint reservoir. But there we go. We got our primer coat down. Let's let that dry while I rinse out my airbrush, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I got my airbrush cleaned up. The primer's dry. What I'm going to be using now is Vallejo Model Air Chrome. It's not really chrome, it's just really bright silver. Because, I mean, what I'm looking for is not a truly chrome finish. I just want a good silver finish that will reflect the light, hopefully, and maybe diffuse it a little bit. So let me get a pipette out here, and we'll put some water in here to thin this down a bit, and then we'll spray it on. And this Game Air, I usually just dilute it about 1 to 1. Look, there's a pipette right there. The Game Air, I usually just dilute about 1 to 1 with water, half and half, half paint, half water, and that's usually more than enough to spray very well. The metallics sometimes need a little more thinning, but usually not. Usually half paint, half water is more than enough. So let me grab my airbrush, pour a bit of this in here, and let's go. Just try to get a fairly even coat of silver on here, just something to kind of help reflect the light a little bit. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be perfect, just something to kind of help reflect the light around inside the base. And that looks pretty good. That ought to do it. That ought to reflect the light pretty good. So let me get my airbrush cleaned out and let this silver dry, and I'll be right back, and we'll look at what lights we're going to put into it. All right, guys, I'm back. The paint's dry now, so the next thing we're going to do is take some of these 50/50 LED strip, and we're going to put it around the edge, but I'm not going to put it where the switch holes are on the front or on the side. So let's see about getting that on. I don't know exactly how much I'm going to need. We'll find out as we go. And I'm going to stick it on with the tape on the back of the strip first, and then I'll glue it down. So let me get this stuck on, because this is going to take a minute, and then I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So as you can see here, I took some LED tape and ran all the way around the outside of the base, just skipping the spots where the switches and the plugs will go. So and as it turned out, the the sticky tape on the back of this stuff would not, for whatever reason, would not stick to this silver paint at all. So I ended up having to go ahead and just glue it on. But let me turn that on, and that's what we got. LED tape all the way around, and I still have the protective cover on the back, so it's going to dim it down some. But when you lay this on here, and let me kill these lights. That looks sweet. I like that. I like that a lot. I wish it didn't shine through the black as much as it does, but yeah, I like that. I might try, let's reduce the voltage down a little bit. Go down to 11 volts. That's 9 volts right there. That looks some better, but I like that. And let me get y'all's opinion on something. The pole to hold the model normally would go right in the center of the base, but that's going to be right in the center of the schematic of the Defiant. I really do not want to put a hole right in the middle of this schematic. I don't want to. I was thinking, let's see. This would be the front of the base. I've got this on backwards. Let's turn this around. Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter. But say this is the front of the base. I was thinking of putting the hole here, just slightly off from the center. Put the hole for the pole here. That way it's not poking a hole through the middle of this schematic. Put it back here. It'll be slightly off center, but I think that'll look fine to me. I mean, what do y'all think? Do y'all think putting the pole slightly off center would make it look odd? Leave me a note in the comments and let me know what you think. But okay, that's the end of this part. Tomorrow, when I come back, I'll be working on the circuit board for the Arduino and the DF player. But let me get all this put up. I'll get all my stuff out to build the circuit board, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, and this is the circuit board that I made. But before I go into how I made it and show y'all how I made it, I'm gonna have to get it working because I've been messing with it for about a week and a half now, and I still can't get it to work, and I'm not sure if it's a problem with the sketch or a problem with the board itself. So next we're going to work on sealing up the hull of the Defiant, and before I do, I'll show you what all I've got done inside of it. But I'm going to set this circuit board aside and get the ship out, and we'll work on that until I can figure out what's going on with this circuit board. So let me pause, get the ship out, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And this is the ship. I've got the nose glued on. We've got that all sealed up. And we're going to work on getting the hull sealed up. But before we do, I'll show you what I've got done inside the best that I can, because I've shortened my wires up so that it'll all close up there. But everything's in there, everything's wired up. We've got all of our separate circuits coming out right here. I've got, let's see, this is the strobe circuit, these two wires. And these two wires are the phaser circuit, and these two wires are the straight 12-volt circuit. And this pole's going to get cut off shorter, so those wires will be plenty long enough once I get the pole cut off to the length that I want it to be. And there you go, focusing on the stick again. Don't do that. Well, anyway, he wants to focus on the stick. Let's see if we move it over this way a little, if that'll help. There we go. But one thing I've noticed through test fitting it many times already is that the best way to do this is to start back here and work my way forward. So that's what I'm going to do, and get this part clicked together. And then I'll just start working my way forward from there. So let me get part of this started and clamped. You know what? I'm thinking I'm going to have to trim that a little more for that thruster engine there, because that's not closing down. See the gap we've got right there? I'm going to have to trim that down a little more before I can get that closed up. So let me work on that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I turned the lights on because I want to know immediately if I pinch a wire or something like that while I'm closing the hull up. I got this part closed up, glued, taped, and I'm working on the side of the nacelles right now. And I'll show you my basic process. I won't go through gluing the whole hull, because that'll just be you sitting here watching me hold plastic together forever. But basically what I'm doing is work one area until I can get a decent fit, work some Tamiya extra thin in there into the seam, little splooge right there. Just a little bit at a time, work it in there. And just small amounts of glue at a time too. I don't want too much, because I don't want it running down the side like it was trying to do there. So just a little bit at a time. Let the glue soak into the seam. And then once I've got glue all soaked into the seam, I'm going to take a piece of this tape, stick it up here, because there's no way in the world to clamp these angled sides. So take this tape, pull it tight together, and then stretch the tape around it. And that should hold it. I might need to get that just a little bit tighter. Get that squeezed together real good. The tape on it, and there we go. And then I'll take another piece of tape. My tape is curling up on me. I'll take another piece of tape and put it up here and pull this front part really tight together and hold it like that. And then I'll take another piece of tape and put it right here and just press it together real tight. Get the tape on it and set it down. And that seems to have that seam pretty well held together. So that's pretty much the process that I'm going to use, and I'll work my way all the way around the hull and get it glued together. So let me get that done, and then we'll come back. Okay, we have mostly got this side of the hull glued and taped, but I just wanted to show you, where's my remote? Let me zoom in here a little bit, because I just wanted to show you in the areas where these resin parts fit. Do you see that gap there? Yeah, that's a significant gap that's going to have to be filled, and right there is another significant gap that I'm going to have to fill. And I'm not sure if it's the fit of the part or something that I did when I was putting the resin part in, didn't get it lined up exactly right, but there are some significant gaps, and there's one, I don't know, yeah, right there. You can see that one. That's a significant gap. Now, some of this I might be able to pull down and significantly reduce, but I won't be able to get rid of it when I'm going to go around. Let me get this on camera. I'm going to go around the edges of these with some thin super glue, and we'll let that pull it down, and hold it like that as the super glue sets. Just, because the resin part won't take the Tamiya, I'll have to use super glue on that. But I just wanted to show you some of the pitfalls of using resin parts. But let me get back to this and work my way around the other side of the hull, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, we've almost finished up sealing the hull together. So bear with me. I thought I'd let you watch as I finish up this last little bit of the hull, and then I'll show you what we've got. This thing did not want to go together, but I think in the end it'll be okay. I think it'll work out decently anyway. So let's get a little glue on this section. I know Some people use super glue or some other things, but I prefer the plastic welding type glues. They just offer a better bond to me. And if there is any paint on the seam when you put the glue on, most of these newer glues are, well, they're not really glues, they're more of a solvent, but most of them are hot enough or strong enough that they'll dissolve that paint. I mean, you can see right here, focus camera, you can see right there where it's dissolving the paint that was in that seam. And yeah, it just melts that paint and does its thing. But let me get the last little bit of this seam done here, and then we'll take an overall look at it, and I'll show you some of the problem areas. I forgot to put my tape on there. I usually put the tape on one side of the seam first, then put the glue in, and then all I gotta do is stick it down. But I forgot to this time. So let's this tape under here. Of course it sticks together. Always sticks together. Get the tape on there. Rub it down under there real good. Get this pressed together. Pull the tape as tight as I can get it and wrap it around, and that should hold it good until the glue dries. And then we'll see what we got. But here's what we got. As you can see from the amount of tape, she did not want to go together. But I think it's going to work out in the end. There's going to be quite a bit of fill work, especially around these resin parts on the nacelles. This nacelle, I don't know if I got one of the resin parts out of line when I was gluing it in or what, but this nacelle was a real bear to get together, and there might be a little gap right there that's going to have some plastic work. I'll try to press it down when I put the super glue on it. It might come together all right, but that's what we got so far. We got the two halves together finally. All the lights are working, and we're just going to let this sit and dry overnight, and then we'll pull the tape off tomorrow, probably on the stream, and take a look at what we got. I don't know, I might try to record some on the stream. Man, I wish this thing would quit focusing on the end of that stick. Focus. There we go. Yeah, I might try to film some during the stream. I know some of the other guys do. I've never done that before. I might give it a try and then just do a little voiceover on it. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to end this update right here. Let this dry, and tomorrow I'll see what I got. All right, well, thanks for stopping by Don's Modeling Desk. Like and subscribe if you want, and I'll catch you in the next update of the Defiant. So have a good one, everyone.